My name is Ethan Cole, and I never thought my life would take a turn at my grandfather's funeral. While my cousins were busy celebrating the millions they inherited, I stood there clutching a crumpled envelope with nothing but a single plane ticket inside. They laughed at me that day, mocked me, called me a fool. 6 months later, those same people who ridiculed me would come crawling back, begging for forgiveness. This is the story of how the worst day of my life became the beginning of everything they never saw coming, and the revenge that changed everything. My grandfather, Richard Cole, wasn't just a businessman. He was a legend, a man who turned a single fishing boat into Cole Shipping Enterprises, one of the largest logistics companies in America. To my family, he was a walking bank account. To me, he was the only person who ever truly saw me. Every Sunday, we played chess, and he'd tell me, the most powerful moves are the ones your opponents never see coming. I never imagined those words would become the foundation of my life. Now let me introduce you to the people who thought they had already won the game. There was Ethan's cousin, Alexander Cole, the golden boy. Dressed in a $5,000 Armani suit, he was already practicing his CEO acceptance speech in the mirror of his father's limousine. His sister, Chloe, hid her excitement behind designer sunglasses, probably deciding which Instagram filter would make her new yacht look more glamorous. Their parents, Victor and Elaine, looked like vultures circling their feast, desperate to sink their teeth into what they thought was rightfully theirs. And then there was me, a high school history teacher who drove 3 hours in a Honda Civic that could barely survive the trip, just to say goodbye to the only man in my family I respected. The will reading was like something out of a bad movie. The attorney began by gifting Victor and Elaine the mansion in the Hamptons, along with a multi-million-dollar portfolio. Chloe received a Manhattan penthouse and a yacht. Alexander inherited Cole Shipping Industries itself. Every asset, every ship, every ounce of power. Then came my turn. The room grew silent when the attorney handed me a small white envelope. Inside, a one-way plane ticket to Rome. That was it. Laughter filled the room. Alexander almost fell out of his chair, clutching his stomach. Chloe filmed me on her phone, making jokes for her followers. Even Victor smirked, patting me on the back like I was a child. "Rome is beautiful this time of year," he said, pretending to comfort me. But I saw it in their eyes. Pity, mockery, triumph. What they didn't know was that my grandfather's game had only just begun. The next morning, I stared at that ticket for hours. My life was simple. Wake up at 5:30, teach history at Lincoln High, grade papers, and go home to my one-bedroom apartment with a leaky ceiling. I wasn't rich, I wasn't powerful, but I was content. Still, something about that ticket gnawed at me. My grandfather never did anything without purpose. And then I remembered his last words during our final chess game. "The best moves, Ethan, are the ones your opponents never see coming." That was enough. I packed a bag, told my principal I needed time off, and boarded that plane. When I landed in Rome, exhausted and uncertain, I noticed a man in a black suit, holding a sign with my name. "Mr. Cole," he said in a thick Italian accent. Your grandfather arranged everything. His name was Lorenzo, and he had been my grandfather's driver in Italy for 2 decades. He drove me to a hidden estate in the Sabine Hills, a villa my family never knew existed. As we entered, I felt chills. This wasn't just a vacation home. It was a fortress of secrets. And inside, waiting for me, was a sealed letter from my grandfather. I opened it with trembling hands. His words hit me like a thunderbolt. "Ethan, if you are reading this, it means I trusted only you to carry out my final plan. Cole Shipping isn't what it seems. For decades, your Uncle Victor has been laundering money, exploiting workers, and betraying everything I built. I've left clues hidden in this estate, evidence powerful enough to bring them all down. But be careful. If they realize what you have, they will stop at nothing to destroy you. Play the game wisely. The board is yours now. My pulse raced. My cousins thought they'd inherited an empire, but in truth, they'd inherited a crumbling castle built on lies, and I had the only key to expose it. For weeks, I searched the villa, guided by Lorenzo. Hidden compartments and bookshelves revealed documents. Old journals led me to offshore bank accounts. Secret safes contained contracts signed by Victor himself, proving fraud and embezzlement. My grandfather had known all along and left the final move to me. But revenge isn't simple. One night, while reviewing the files, I noticed a car parked outside the gates, black-tinted windows, watching. My heart sank. They knew. The next day, Lorenzo handed me a burner phone. Your uncle's people, he warned. They know you are here. You must be careful. That night, I received a text. Walk away, Ethan, or you won't make it back to America. Fear clawed at me, but so did anger. My father, my real role model, had died young, working himself to death while Victor stole the credit. My mother had struggled to keep us afloat because Victor drained everything. No, I wouldn't walk away. I flew back to the States with everything I had gathered. Alexander was already parading around as the new CEO. Chloe was flaunting her penthouse, and Victor was consolidating power. But I had the truth, and truth is a weapon sharper than any blade. I went to the authorities first, but Victor's influence ran deep. Politicians, judges, even law enforcement had their hands in his pockets. Dead end. That's when I realized, if I wanted revenge, I couldn't rely on the system. I had to destroy him publicly. So I set a trap. I wanted to reconcile. Over coffee in her luxury penthouse, I casually mentioned a hidden recording my grandfather left behind. Her eyes widened. She couldn't resist gossip. Within hours, Alexander and Victor knew. They demanded a family meeting. We gathered in the same oak-paneled room where the will had been read months earlier. They came in confident, smug. I came in calm, carrying only a laptop bag. Victor sneered. So, the teacher finally wants to play with the big boys. Alexander smirked. What's this about, Ethan? Another envelope? I smiled. Not exactly. You see, Grandpa didn't just leave me a ticket. He left me the one thing none of you ever had, his trust. With that, I opened the laptop and connected into the room's projector. One by one, documents flashed across the screen. Bank statements, signed contracts, offshore accounts, recordings of Victor's conversations. Every secret laid bare. Their faces turned pale. Chloe dropped her phone. Alexander stammered. This isn't real. Oh, it's real, I said. And in 5 minutes, it goes live to every major news outlet in New York. Victor lunged at me, but I stepped back. Careful, uncle. Assault will only add to your charges. For the first time, they weren't laughing. They were terrified. The fallout was catastrophic. For them, coal shipping collapsed within days. Federal investigations opened. Victor was arrested for fraud and embezzlement. Alexander lost everything. His name forever tainted. Chloe's social empire crumbled when her followers realized she was nothing without stolen wealth. And me? I became the unexpected heir, not of money, but of legacy. I used the evidence to restructure coal shipping, transforming it into a company that valued its workers and gave back to the community. I didn't take revenge for greed. I took it for justice, for my father, for my mother, for every person Victor exploited. 6 months after the funeral, those same cousins who mocked me stood in front of me again. Only this time they weren't laughing. They were begging. Begging for forgiveness. Begging for mercy. I looked at them, remembering my grandfather's words. Power isn't about what you have, Ethan. It's about what you're willing to lose to gain something greater. So I gave them my answer. I don't hate you, I said quietly. But I'll never let you hurt anyone again. This game is over. And with that, I walked away, free, powerful in a way they could never understand. Life is a chessboard. Sometimes the pieces look small, weak, even laughable, but never underestimate them. The smallest move, the quietest sacrifice, can change the entire game. My family thought they had won. But real victory isn't about yachts, mansions, or millions. Real victory is about truth, justice, and the courage to do what no one else dares. So remember this: never laugh at the underdog, because the best moves are the ones you never see coming.